Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from OpenThrowaway9 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for sending a recording of my ex to open our relationship to her parents? Gee whiz, what a title. I, male 26, broke up with my girlfriend of 4 years, Mary, female 27, about a month ago, because she asked me to open our relationship. It is, was, and always will be a major line in the sand for me, something that I opened up to her about in the past. We've had a great relationship, and the only thing that stands out, and the only reason it stands out now is because of this situation, is she progressively started making a lot more sexual jokes about some of our shared friends over the last few months. Some involved her being with them and others were three-way jokes, etc. I won't lie, I played along a little, but I consistently made some joking response along the lines of, "You're more than enough for me," and / "I don't like sharing." Never took any of it seriously because why would I? Until she asked, and I found out and realized that she was probably trying to gauge my response and see how open I was. Mary asked when we were getting ready for bed about a month ago, kind of bluntly. I was scrolling on my phone and she was getting changed and goes, "If I asked you to open the relationship, would you?" This might sound super corny, but it was like I had an out-of-body experience and all of the above hit me at once. All the jokes and comments so far made sense in a "she's trying to butter me up to the idea" kind of way, and went really numb for a second. To her credit, she must have seen how freaked out I was and asked if I was okay. I pretended I didn't hear her and asked her to repeat herself, and she was really hesitant to. Kept saying she didn't say anything and only repeated it when I insisted. Then I went to voice notes, set it to record, and put my phone down to talk to her. I don't remember much of it, just that I tried to stay calm and keep her talking. But the note is just over an hour and a half long, and it feels like I'm listening in to a conversation that happened between two strangers. She trickled truth all the way through it and ultimately stuck to the idea that she hadn't been cheating. She didn't have any one person in mind, but had been fantasizing about mutual friends and people at work and seemed to get the idea that they'd be open to something if she asked. A lot of it is her being defensive and me trying to needle information out of her without it escalating into an argument. A lot of me placating her and trying to make her feel comfortable enough to keep talking. The apartment is mine and I suggested we take a break a few nights later, so she went to stay with a friend for the weekend. By the next Monday, I'd spoken to some of my friends and my sisters separately and come to the conclusion that we were done and suggested she start looking for somewhere else to stay. She was upset but didn't really argue and had the vast majority of her stuff out, and at her parents' house by the end of the week. So, coming to 2 days ago, her mum reached out over WhatsApp to say she was disappointed in how I'd handled everything. The message wasn't really framed in a way that she was reprimanding me, more that she wished we could have worked it out. She then added me to a group chat with her husband, ex's stepdad, and they both kinda tag teamed me saying that we could work it out. I was making a mistake and that I shouldn't overthink things. I eventually got it out of them that my ex had fed them a very vague story that we'd broken up because she had wanted to take the next step in our relationship and that I'd freaked out. We'd argued and she'd been effectively kicked out. Her stepdad was leaning on the fact that he thought I was more mature than this, and her mum just kept repeating how disappointing this whole situation was. So, I was pissed. In the heat of the moment, I told them I had the recording of our conversation that I could send that would explain what she actually meant about taking the next step. I initially tried to email it to them, but it was being a ball ache, so I eventually shared it via Drive. In the meantime, I took a few screenshots of my ex and I's messages. Ones where she had made jokes and comments about sex with our friends and a lady from her office, and sent them along to that shared chat group. I haven't heard back since. Again, it's been 2 days and I don't feel as vindicated anymore. A good few of my ex's comments were about other women and I'm freaking out because I don't know how, if at all, open she's been about her sexuality with them. I also think I shouldn't have engaged at all, and I shouldn't have felt the need to prove my innocence to either of them. Am I the arsehole? I've checked in with a few friends and over social media, and it doesn't look like there's been any fallout. Also, my ex blocked me a week ago, before I spoke to her parents, so I can't really contact her without going in person. And at this point, is it too late to even give her a heads up or check in? To address a few points I've seen in multiple comments. We don't live in the US and we have no laws on recording private conversations on the books. I'm not proud of doing it, but it wasn't illegal. Mary and I have had several mature, calm conversations about what we both wanted out of this relationship. Mary wasn't sure if she wanted to stay and kind of admitted to self-sabotaging by asking about opening the relationship. Mary and I have been friends since we were 11. Her mum was my coach when I swam competitively, and our friend group and families are very close and intermingled. So she was wary about what could happen if we went on a break or fully broke up. I was not trying to punish her for being open to polyamory. Mary and I are both bi, and when I was in my last year of high school, I was involved in an inappropriate relationship with a teaching assistant. He was arrested and registered as a sex offender, but during the time we were involved, he convinced me to be with other people as well. He effectively pimped me out for a year and physically assaulted me when I eventually said no and tried to cut him off. Mary knew all of the above, and she helped me through it at the time, and I was very clear that I can't do something like that again. I know that what I went through wasn't an actual open relationship, but it was very much framed as one, and that has stuck with me. I would never put down other people for doing it, but I made this all very clear to Mary and the other serious relationship I was in before her. I've carried a lot of issues from then into future relationships, and I'm in therapy and I've worked with Mary to not punish her for what other people have done to me, but for as great and support Mary was, she did have an issue with trying to gaslight me. She would say one thing and then, typically during an argument, would vehemently argue otherwise and genuinely make me question myself. It took her coming to therapy with me and sometimes showing her texts for her to realize that this was a problem and we'd been working on it together. Me recording her was still not right, but it wasn't an attempt to gather something incriminating, it was just a response. It was a poor response that I shouldn't have done, but it wasn't malicious, nor did I intend it to send to anyone at the time. Also, since making this post and reading your replies, I've gone back to her parents to apologize. I did try and tell them that she wasn't being honest and that I wanted to keep things private, but they kept going on about me being immature and that this was disappointing. I'll be honest, I got a bit angry again rereading some of their messages, but it really didn't warrant me outing Mary the way I did. I appreciate everyone's judgment. First commenter says you're defending yourself because she couldn't be honest and unleashed her parents on you. Any results are her responsibility, not the arsehole. Opie says, I don't think she intentionally sicked their parents on me, but also feel like I don't even know who she really is at this point. I also don't like the feeling of just making shit difficult for her, even though she's clearly still telling half-truths. Kindly Celebration says I might not have shared the recording and screenshots, but I would have said, look, if you two have an open relationship and raised her to see that as the next step, that's great for you guys, but I'm not comfortable having that kind of relationship and won't be pressured into having an open relationship. And then block all of them, not the arsehole. Key Hovercraft says it sucks, but they really piled on. I would have just said she wanted an open relationship, and then if they didn't believe you, you offered the evidence. But I totally get being accused of something you didn't do with the additional pile-on. I would have sent it. Just block all of them and find someone who loves you or enjoy being single for a while. Sorry, I know this hurts right now. Adorable Length says everyone sucks here. Opie's ex shouldn't have lied. Her parents shouldn't have messaged OP. OP definitely should not have recorded her, jumped to sending the recording and tracked down screenshots that possibly outed her to her parents. Jupika says, you said that Mary wasn't sure if she wanted to stay and sabotage the relationship. You also said that she gaslighted you several times. Sounds to me that she wanted to end the relationship but not by herself, because she didn't have the courage. She made you end it and painted you as the bad guy in front of her parents and most probably other people. You're really not the arsehole for sending the voice recording. If she manipulated you into ending the relationship and telling lies, she definitely should suffer the consequences. To be honest, I have no pity for her, and you should not either. And for me, with the trickle truthing that was mentioned, the gaslighting, I just didn't feel very much sympathy in this situation either for you sending it, especially when you're getting the accusations thrown at you. But now is just the time to cut these people off and be done with it pretty much. But Opie did come in with an update and says, "Hi everyone. I want to preface this with a genuine thank you. I came to this sub because my mind was all over the place yesterday, and you all helped me clear it up a little. Even the people who clearly weren't trying to be helpful. As a result, on reflection, I'm not sorry for recording her. I understand that people don't like the idea of being recorded by an intimate partner, especially when having an intimate conversation, and you naturally support Mary on that front of solidarity. But all I can say is, you do not know what Mary is like or what our relationship was like either. A little before she came to therapy with me, and the incident that pushed me to try and get her to come with me, Mary texted me to pick her up a Smarties McFlurry on the way home from work. When I brought it home and gave it to her, she told me she asked for a dairy milk one they don't even do here anymore, and rolled her eyes at me, not listening to her again. Trying to show her what she had sent led to a 15-minute shouting match which resulted in her throwing her ice cream at the wall and shattering my phone screen. That's one incident of many. She told me I was flirting for holding the door open for a group because they were girls she were clearly trying to impress with them, and went on such a long tirade about my male chivalry was just a selfish way to gain attention from women beyond her. I'm not apologizing anymore for recording her. I would have had such a visceral need to defend myself if I wasn't with someone who kept hurting me. I made that recording because I knew she would lie, and she did, but I thought she would lie to me, not to other people, and I wanted it strictly so I had her words there on my phone, should she start claiming she said anything else. At the end of the day though, we didn't end up having any of that, and we parted maturely. I understand that a lot of you won't believe that was my intention, and I'll just have to live with that. Beyond all that, I'm still sorry for sending it to her parents as a way to get back at her. Her parents have always been very pro-LGBTQ+, so although it wasn't right to out her, I was massively overthinking them harming her or kicking her out. At most, exposing her interest in polyamory would have embarrassed her, but nothing I shared would have put her in any danger. That being said, I saw red during that exchange and saw this as a way to finally show people I wasn't misremembering things. It was spiteful and vindictive, and I can see so many different ways I could have dealt with the situation more calmly, but I was angry and I didn't do any of them. And for that, I am still sorry. Like I said in the edit to my previous post, I apologized to her parents. I apologized for getting angry, cussing them out, and for sharing private information about their daughter to them. I fully acknowledged that I was being spiteful and that it was a harsh escalation of a response. Anne and Paul, what I call them for this post, accepted it at face value, but asked if I could come over for lunch this afternoon so we could have an actual conversation. It was nice, but really awkward too. Mary wasn't there. I apologized again, and Paul and Anne said they were sorry for interfering and not giving me a chance to tell my side. We both agreed we'd acted inappropriately and that, going forward, we wouldn't involve ourselves in this topic. Left things on relatively better terms, but I'm not going to talk to them for a while. Above everything, they are Mary's parents, and they will always be in her corner, as parents should be, so keeping my distance is in everyone's best interests. As for Mary, she unblocked me late last night and let loose a tirade of angry messages. They mostly, of course, consisted of how creepy and disgusting I was for recording her. Again, I recorded her because I knew she'd lie, and all she did was prove my point, which, despite still cussing me out, she had no real response for. I got from her, Anne and Paul, that things are understandably awkward after what I'd shared, but she's still staying with them for the time being. They've not discussed it with her beyond letting her know they'd heard the recording and now knew she'd lied. There has been no indication of negative consequences. And that's it. I'm reeling from 4 years of a relationship being over, of my girlfriend and best friend using my own trauma as a way to make me break up with her, and then pretending everything was okay just to lie about me behind my back. But what is hurting me more is how I only now understand, from reading replies to my post and talking to my friends, that I was with yet another abuser, and I'm nowhere near as strong or as over what happened to me as I thought. Thanks for your help. And there was a couple of comments on this post, one with a reply from OP. Polygon Man says, I mean, the very fact that you knew she would start lying and recorded her to protect yourself from gaslighting shows that it was an abusive relationship. Emotional manipulation, including gaslighting, is a form of abuse. Also throwing things against walls, breaking your phone, all that other shit. You've been abused for years. She wasn't your best friend. She was your abuser. What you need to do is get away from her and her family completely, to completely separate for a nice long chunk of time so you can get some perspective. Because the fact that you were with her for 4 years means that you have some shit to work out. No one, literally not one human being on the planet should accept being with someone like her. Foxy Sly Old Stoty Fox says, a gaslighting ex-girlfriend. Memories. You're right. Not all women are like this, but it hurts when you sink several years of your life into someone who is. OP says, in addition to my post, I want to make something crystal clear. The people still going through the comments claiming that Mary asking for an open relationship is some indicator of modern women, or her, being inherently promiscuous, or using it to push some narrative. We're weird and annoying. In addition to people who deliberately skewed the order of events and or try to patronizingly psychoanalyze me, to try and frame me as worse than I actually am, were especially unhelpful. I understand that what I did struck a nerve with a lot of people, and I wholeheartedly recognize how I did not do what a lot of people would have preferred I do in that situation. I came to the sub for advice and judgment, so please judge me for what I did, not what you think I did. And the final comment from Blonde Boba Fett, who says, OP, reading your edit in your original post and your ex's behavior, I'm so happy you got out. If she's throwing and breaking stuff, that is beginning signs of things potentially escalating to physical abuse. I'll stay away from her and block her moving forward. Absolutely. And I agree with one of those previous comments that separating yourself from the parents as well now and just moving on with your life is the best course of action here. It sounded like you've been through a lot before you even came into this relationship, and now with this relationship as well, I think it's going to take some time to unpack and move forward. So with that, all I can do is wish you all the best, OP. Truly, much love to you. But now, let's move on to another story. And I picked out the next story just because I was really interested in what this means in the title. It's from Icy Shelter 9897 from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and says, Am I the arsehole for telling my wife I hate her fridgescaping? Recently, my wife has taken to fridgescaping. I guess it's a recent trend because I'd never heard about it before this. She started decorating our fridge and it was really getting on my nerves. For example, she'd put flowers in the fridge, in vases, in front of food. You have to move things just to get to the food. She put all of our food in fancy baskets, jars, and similar things. I know it sounds absurd, but if you just search up fridgescaping, you'll see what I'm talking about. Right, I'm just gonna have a little quick Google, and I'll show a couple of images on screen of what I found immediately. Just a quick explanation for the podcast listeners. There's basically, I'm not even sure how to explain this. There's like fairy lights in the fridge, a little pot with some like daisies in it, another jar with flowers in it. It's just, there's even like a little deer in here, like a little figurine. It looks like you have to make your fucking way through Narnia to get to the butter. But OP continues, I didn't care at first because I don't have to use the fridge much anyways. I don't cook a lot. But she's getting too meticulous with it and adding too much decor. It's made the fridge very uninviting for me. She gets upset when I get something from the fridge and don't put things back perfectly. She keeps taking it as a personal slight and acts like I've done something to deliberately hurt her when I haven't. I just find it unnecessary to maintain such an organized fridge. Before she started this, it would take me 30 seconds to grab something quick from the fridge, whereas now it's a whole ordeal. Last weekend, she confronted me after I grabbed some leftovers from the fridge and left it in a disarray, according to her. I explained how I find the hobby stupid and she can decorate other things. It doesn't have to be the fridge. It gets in the way when I want to quickly eat. When I come home from work hungry and tired and want to grab a quick bite, it's frustrating. I also talked to my son about it and he finds it annoying, which I told her. She didn't argue back after that, and she's removed all the decorations from the fridge, which I have to admit has been relieving. But she's also been acting very distant towards me and just hasn't been herself. That's been weird intimacy-wise. Am I the arsehole here for this? Hurricane says no one's an arsehole here. It's reasonable to not want too much decor in the fridge, or to not be scolded if you don't put things back perfectly. But you did totally belittle something that brought your wife joy and made her feel creative. Not surprised she's been distant. Most people don't like it when you shit on their interests, and most people like it even less when it's a spouse. I'm nicer to my friends about their interests that I don't like than you are to your literal wife. Not understanding that it might make her distant is completely clueless of you, to be honest. Edit, apparently if you tell people to be nice to their partners, they get really triggered. Welford Nelford says, today I learned about fridgescaping. Thanks. I hate it. Not the arsehole. If it makes someone happy to store food in attractive containers and neatly organize the fridge, that would be one thing. But adding crap like flowers, framed pictures, and assorted tchotchke that make it difficult to use the fridge for its intended purpose is just plain ridiculous. Touring Potato says, you know, most of these Am I the Arsehole posts come down to communication. It's hardly ever the situation. You are not the arsehole for not wanting your fridge scaped, but you're the arsehole for how you talk to people. There's so many better ways you could have approached it, and you approached it out of anger and annoyance and belittled your wife and made her feel it was you and your son against her. To her, this was a fun little hobby that felt fulfilling to her, and you essentially told her that the thing that brought her happiness is stupid and annoying and to stop. You could have said it looks wonderful, but it's a bit inconvenient, and maybe she could have put her efforts somewhere else, like the laundry room, because as much as you enjoy the aesthetic, the fridge didn't seem the best place to showcase her efforts. Be nice to people you love. Why does that seem so feckin' hard? Why don't people do that more often? And the audacity to wonder why she doesn't want to be intimate afterwards. I only shat all over her hobby. Why is she not taking all her clothes off? Be nice to your wife. Apologize and say it the right way. And there's always a right and wrong way to communicate with someone you love. Right now, you're the arsehole, not because of the situation, but because you treat your wife like she's less. Be better. Agreeable Error says, people seem to think that because your wife's hobby is stupid, that makes it alright to be a dick to her. It does not. There are ways to communicate your dissatisfaction without telling her something she did was stupid. That's what your wife is upset about. Not that you didn't like it, but because of the way you told her. And for bringing your son into it. You're the arsehole. Sweet Champion says, I think people should stop being so understanding about everything. Decorating inside of the fridge with flowers and stuff is bloody stupid, and that's that. Demanding other people keep up your fridge decoration intact is beyond bloody stupid. Telling your spouse he or she is being mental is not being an arsehole. And he did not even tell her. Jesus. And the comments on this one were literally all over the place. There's everyone sucks here, no one's an arsehole here, not the arseholes, you're the arseholes. It's all there. People coming from all sorts of different angles. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Oh, you learn something new every day, don't you? And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.